Hey guys, Samora here, and today I finished watching Solo Leveling. This was a very hyped show, a show I really wanted to watch. I'm glad I watched it. The hype was real for this one, and wow, I'm telling you, this Solo Leveling was really. I'm all in. I like the idea that of what it was. This was about a guy, Sam Jinwoo, who was the weakest hunter of them all. Um, and eventually he got incredible powers, really. Not sure what it is still yet, even after the end of this season, after 12 episodes. Some mysterious program that chose him to level up as he gets strength, stronger, better, and in every way, through dungeons and by just killing anyone in his path. And yeah, through this show, it's just a bunch of monsters, all really cool stuff that I actually really like the ideas. Again, I like the ideas of this show, but we'll see about the rest. What I did like about this show was some of the characters. They're interesting, especially the small group we get to be with in the beginning that survives. And throughout the episode show, we get little glimpses of those characters, like the guy who loses his arm. He was actually one of my favorite characters, as well as the female healer, and yeah, some really cool stuff. And the fights were the best part of this show. It was brutal, bloody from the start to finish. Fights were actually pretty cool, awesome, well animated, and for the most part, I think it was all 2D. Great, it was just great detail in the fighting. That was definitely its biggest strength for me. But yeah, I think from there on, what I disliked for the most part was the story itself was pretty weak. It was pretty bland. Nothing really much happened. There was too many episodes that where it was just a slice of life episode of what's happening outside of the dungeons scenarios, and it wasn't even that interesting. Like we barely saw him training. I mean, his training is not something we necessarily needed to see because it was all through the system, as he said. Really, it was only focused on him leveling up, and anything outside of that, they had little focus on it with so much time it had. It had little focus, especially on the story about the island. Actually, that sounded interesting to me. Throughout the whole show, they were teasing it. I was like, "Oh, we're gonna see something about it." Sure, we had like one glimpse, and then the stories of the some of the characters speaking about it. Again, they showed very little, and then by the time we actually got to getting to know more about it, it was already the end of the show. We got nothing. We went from doing nothing to the last episode getting to the island but not be there, and then it ended with a terrible shot of an ant, some bug, and they were like, oh, it's evolving. But what was evolving? It couldn't even see or detail you what I saw. It was a terrible shot at the end. It was so bad. I was, no, no, come on. I was looking forward to that. I was just not there. I was like, why? And that was the only other thing that you could have cared for in this whole show so far. Besides him leveling up and taking care of his mother and his sister, you couldn't care really much of what else of the relationships between characters because they cut them too short and jumped off to the next thing, never really clinging on to something too long. And sure, his character is kind of alone, right? But at the same time, it builds a very weak. It doesn't help the story moving forward too well when your character doesn't just speaks two words to you and leaves every time, or slice and dices and leaves. And the last thing I did not like about this was even though I just said the animation was great, it just seemed good overall for the animes I've seen before. This it felt very basic, a little bland for me especially compared to the manga or its source material from the books. This looked way better than the anime, and yeah, sort of what I just thought about the show. I just I just felt like I sort of wasted some time watching this. I did not feel the gratifying ending I wanted, or really a story that I wanted to explore. They could have explored more with the other hunters, or fighting, or training. We could have built that more. The with companies like that. I wanted to see more of that. I was in. I wanted to invest in time into these. Yeah, sure. 12 episodes wasn't enough for sure, but they did nothing with these 12 episodes to do something about it. No, they did not use the time very well in these 12 episodes. If they knew they only had 12 episodes to begin with, they did not build the story very well to even move forward from this. I did not like that. But if you're a fan of this and the fights, if you're an anime advocate who likes some basic fighting, great fighting actually, sure, this is for you. And if you've already read the material, they do a good, all right job. Just because the animation just kind of hinders it. I wish it looked better. It does look great when it does fights, but anything else from that, sorry, just the story isn't there, man. It's just so weak. Look, this is this is not for you if you're looking for the next Jujutsu Kaisen or even Attack on Titan level of writing between characters too. It's just not good. Just not good. The interactions were so cheap and short. Like you couldn't develop anything from it. And then no, this is just not for you. And so for me, I give this a 6 out of 10. There is things I like about this. I wish this was better, but in the end, it did not deliver the level of hype this show had from the start. And then that, oh my gosh, the worst part was the recap episode. Terrible choice. Not telling us in advance what it was going to be about, and for it to be just a recap episode mid-season was a terrible choice. It was better if they just said no, if they didn't show an episode that week when it came out. It was a waste of time. Like they just wasted so much time with that. Like what was the why? It's so bad. Anyways, until next time, Amore out.